This Amsonia is gorgeous right now. And the Clematis is complementing it. Look at that. Just gorgeous. These buds are always so huge, and I love the vibrant purple color. And there's the bottom ones, but we got buds. You see them? We've got buds all over the place. There's another one. I'm a little too close. And there's one. And there's one. They're all over. And it's going to go all the way up to the birdhouse. I don't know about you, but I see fuzzy stuff in there. So I'm like, yeah, let's sit in my garden bed and sit with my Clematis for a while. Isn't it gorgeous? They are so huge. So the scientific name for Clematis is Clematis. Isn't that fun? The common name and the scientific genius are the same. That doesn't happen very often. And I didn't get how to pronounce it. Oh, yes, I did. The Ranunculaceae is the family, and that's the buttercup family. Now, the little buttercups are just itty bitty on the ground. I don't know how this can be that same family. The Ranunculaceae, or buttercup family, but it is. This Clematis variety is the Mrs. Shulman-Daly. I think I said that right. I planted it in 2020, and it blooms in late spring, which is now. Well, actually, it's kind of still early because everything's blooming a month early in 2024. And then again in the autumn. And it grows 12 to 16 feet tall. Well, I have a bird feeder at the top, and this fence is 6 feet tall, and I'm going to try to keep it not much taller than that bird feeder. So I'm definitely not going to let it get that tall. So this is in the pruning group 2. I have learned that Clematis are in pruning groups, 3 pruning groups. Look at that gorgeous white center. So Clematis do need regular pruning, and that encourages strong growth and flowering. And it also keeps the plant from being a mass of tangled stems. Now, we had last fall a big hosta here, and we were getting rid of a lot of the hostas. We only have like 3 left in the backyard. And when I was doing so, this was all tangled up with the hosta. And so it ended up being cut all the way back down to, I thought it was dead, like really low to the ground. And you can see how it still survived. And it just keeps growing, like it's put on most of this growth just this year. It did grow a little bit last year. So Clematis pruning group 2 is the large flowered hybrids. I definitely got a large flower. Easy to tell. And it blooms from May to June. It's still April because we're a month early. And again in autumn. So prune after the first flush of flowers in the spring. Prune away weak and damaged growth and prune it about halfway. So I guess I haven't been doing this, but I'm going to. So anything weak, which it's not weak, but I'm probably going to have to prune it down about halfway. Ooh, I've never done that before. I'm going to have to. And then again in late winter, so like the roses, when the roses are dormant, that's when we come out in January and we prune them back fairly low. And that's what this requires. So when I did that last autumn, that probably is why this happened. I just didn't know it. So pruning group 1 blooms earlier than this in the spring. And it blooms on shoots grown the prior year. So we're talking like old and new wood kind of terminology. So prune after flowering in mid to late spring, and do not prune group 1 in the winter. That's because it only blooms once in the spring. I'm so glad I have this hybrid variety. It only blooms once in the spring from what it grew last year. So when it's done blooming, it's like my forsythia was, and a lot of other flowers. My bridal's wreath, which I just cut back last weekend. Prune them back right after they bloom. They finish blooming, and then they'll get all new growth. And on that new growth is what they will bloom on the next year. That's not this variety. This is group 2. So nope. I'm talking about group 1. Now let's talk about group 3. Groups have a whole lot to do with when they bloom. So you can, if you don't know what kind you have, you can kind of identify it by when it blooms. The group 3 then blooms in late summer on growth from that season. So prune, this one you prune late in the winter, like the roses, or early spring to fairly low to the ground. And then it will begin growing all spring and most of the summer, and then it will bloom. So it is totally different from group 1 that you don't want to prune it in the winter. They're like totally opposite. This one, my hybrid one in group 2, you prune twice. The other ones you only bloom once. This one you bloom twice because it's reblooming, and so it blooms on both old and new wood. So clematis do prefer their roots to be in the shade and their flowers to be in the sun. So when I had the hosta here, that was perfect for it. But it still seems to be doing well where it's at. So I did have another one called, I looked it up, Clematis, I don't know how to say it, languinosa, Nellie Moser. It was pink and white, and I had it for many, many, many years. I liked it when we first got it, and then I kind of got tired of the colors. We had it in a sandbox next to the garden bed. Well, it was a sandbox for the kids, and then we put dirt in it and turned it into a flower bed. And then it got moved back to this spot, and it eventually died, and so we replaced it with this one. I wanted to take a closer peek at this. This is a bud. Check it out. Isn't that super cool? Kind of looks like this on the back and that on the inside. Now my husband planted this one just last year, and I can't find the tag. He's notorious for losing tags. But I do know it's group 2 because it's blooming at the same time as the other one. It actually looks very similar to the other one, but I know it's not. I know it has a different name. But because of when it's blooming and that it's a large flower, I know it's in group 2. And this is the back of, he had a swing, a metal swing he got somewhere, and he cut the back off and we stuck it in the ground as a trellis. We painted it white, but it's going to probably go wrap around this pole. That's why we put this in front of the pole. Look at this one just opening up today. It looks like a star. It's kind of fun.